Hey YouTube family, my name is Vicky and in today's video we are going to learn how to update the EC2 machine tags with the help of the Lambda function. There is no prerequisite for this if you are not sure like how to update the tags manually. So first let me show you how to update the tag manually, then we will go to the Lambda function and from there we are going to update the tags. So let's suppose this is the EC2 machine I have, which is in the running state at the moment, and one is in the stop state. So let me take the machine which is in the running state, and for this what I need to do is I need to go to the tags, and from here I can click on the manage tag and I can have the value like environment is equal to test, something like this. Save it. Now if I go back to the tags, I will see here is the environment tag which is updated. Now what exactly the tags are very important. Okay, now why it is important? Because in a company we are working on a multiple project, and when we need to search or when we need to filter a particular project instance, so tags are going to help us a lot. Tags are also going to categorize, let's suppose if in a company we are working on multiple environment like dev, production, test. So what are the dev machines, what are the test machines? So all those things tags are going to help me. So tags are very important. Now I can go to the filter and I can look for the tag option here, or I can easily say environment, and with the help of this I will get all the tag values which are related to the environment. So in order to search from the multiple machine, it is going to help me a lot, and tags are very important in a company. Okay, so let me go to the tag and let me click on the manage tag again. Let me remove this thing. Now what exactly we need to do is we need to update the tags with the help of the Lambda function. So let's create a Lambda function. So for that I need to go to the Lambda. Here I will go step by step. I will tell you each and every step how to create the Lambda function. So if you are not familiar how to create the Lambda function, in this you will also understand. Here I'm going to click on the create function. So this is the dashboard which I have for the Lambda, and here I need to click on the functions and create function. Now once I'm going to click on the function, I will present with multiple options. Here I need to click on the default option and then I need to provide the function name. So it is going to be EC2 tags update or something. In the runtime, we need to select the language which we need to use in order to update our tags. So for me, I'm going to use the Python, and we have couple of other things as well, but that is something we are going to see once we are going to create this function. So I'm not going into the advanced setting right now. We will go into the advanced settings once the function is created. Let me click on the create function. Let's wait for the function to get created. Now I have my function which is created. Now here if we see, we have the code, test, monitor, configuration, aliases and version. Okay, and here we have the code snippet where we can write our code. Now if you see, we have this default thing present where it says import JSON, and the other one which it says that is a function, and the function start with dev, then we have the handler, then we have the event, and then we have the context. And if I'm going to scroll down in the below, we have the runtime settings as well. Okay, let's go one by one in all those things. Understand what exactly this thing is. Now in the Lambda, whenever we are writing a Lambda, we have two important things. First one is the event and the other one is the context. Now in the simple term, what exactly the event is? Event contain the data that trigger the Lambda function. So whatever I'm going to write in the event, that is going to trigger the Lambda function. Now what exactly the context is? Object that contain information about the Lambda execution environment. I'm sure you guys are still confused like what exactly the event is, what exactly the context is. Let's look by the example and then we will understand what exactly we need to provide in the event and what exactly we need to provide in the context, or do we need to provide the context or not. In order to write this thing, the first thing which we need is the Boto 3 environment. So let me go to the Boto 3. Now this is the official Boto 3 documentation. If you have knowledge on this, then it is okay. If you don't have knowledge on this, let's go step by step. Okay. Now here what exactly I need to do? I need to create a tag. Okay. So for this, if I go to the AWS CLI documentation, so this is the CLI documentation. AWS CLI reference, let me click on this. Here I need to look for the service EC2, because in the EC2 we need to update the tag, and here I need to look for create tag. So this is the one. Okay, this is just for a reference. If you have knowledge on the AWS CLI, how to create a tag from there, it is exactly the same thing. But Boto 3 is a kind of automation which will provide you with more than what you will get in the AWS CLI. Okay. Now here exactly we need to search for the same thing. So here we have all the services. If I'm going to click on available services, EC2. Now here we have the EC2, and again we need to look for create underscore tags. Here it is. Now here we have complete information about this, how to create a tag with the help of the Python Boto 3. So let's look at this. Here we have the request syntax. On the top we have the client name, and here it is telling me what all parameter which are required. So here if you see resources list, it's a list. So list means we can provide multiple instance ID. Require the ID of the resources separated by the spaces. Tag also require. Now how we need to provide the tag in the key and the value pair, and if we scroll down a little bit we have the example as well, and here we have the expected output, what we will get if we are going to run this thing. We need to create this thing with the help of the Lambda function. So let me go to the Lambda. Now here we have the Lambda. So let me remove this thing because we don't require it. In the event, this event, we need two things. What two things we require? First one is the AMI. This is the example for the AMI, so don't get confused. We are going to use the instance. Here we need to provide the instance, and the second one we need to provide the tag. So that means we need to provide two things in the trigger. One is the instance ID and the other one is the tags. Okay. So let's see how we can provide this thing. It's very easy. If you are able to understand how to provide the event, it is going to be very easy to work with the Lambda function. For this, what I'm going to do is, the first thing which I need to do is I need to import Boto 3. Now why I need to do that? Because this is the Boto 3 which I'm going to use. And let me go to the quick start. Now here if you see, here it is telling you how to install the Boto 3, but we are using the Lambda environment. So here we have the Boto already installed. We just need to provide import Boto 3. So see, import Boto 3 using Boto 3. So we are providing this thing, and then we also need to create a client. Now which client we need to create? As we are creating a EC2, so we need to create a client for the EC2 only. So how to do that thing? Now let me go here and let me write it down. So it is going to be EC2, or we can start from here if you want. We can also write down this thing in our function as well, so it is not going to impact anything. So EC2 Boto 3, and then we need to give the client, and our client name is EC2. Now from where this thing is coming, if I go back See, S3 Moto3 dot resource, we have two things. One is the resource and the other one is the client. So let me go to the available services again. Let me go to the EC2. Let me click here. So here we have the client. So see, EC2 client. Client is equal to Moto3 dot client EC2. So the same thing I am providing here. EC2, I'm just replacing the variable name. So here I'm not using the client, I'm using the EC2, so that my function is look nice and I'm able to understand my function. Moto3.client EC2. So here I'm telling I'm using import Moto3, and in the Moto3 I'm using the client EC2. If I'm going to work with the S3, then I need to provide the client as the S3. If I'm going to work with the SSM, then I need to provide the SSM. So simple. Now the next line, which is going to be two things which we need to provide. So instance underscore ID, which we need to provide. Now here I'm going to mention event, and in the event what I need to provide, I need to provide the instance ID. Okay, now from where this thing is coming, this thing is coming from here. Let me go to the create tag. See, here we have the resources and the string. So this value is coming from here, the ID of the resource require. Okay, so I am providing the event. So this is going to be the event name, instance ID. Okay, now the second event which I need, that is for the tag. So let me create the tags is equal to, let me give a space, and then event, same thing, then same thing, and then tags. Okay, now I have created, let me give a space, now I have created two events. One is the instance ID and the other one is the tag. Simple. This one I'm going to pass when I'm going to run my Lambda function. So how to pass this value, I'm going to show you that thing as well. But here the event is going to be instance ID and the tag. Now the next thing, what is the next thing? Here we need to write our function. So if I go here and if I see here we have the response, this thing. So I'm going to copy the same thing. So here we have the response is equal to, now if I go back here we need to give the client. Okay, let me copy this thing, let me go here, client create tag. Now here I don't have the client but I have EC2, so I'm going to replace it with the EC2. So if I'm going to give the client here, I need to provide the client here. Here we have this thing. Now what we need to provide, the resource. So here we have, and let me copy this thing, resources, this is what I need to provide, and my resource is equal to, here I need to provide what, the instance ID. So how I can provide the instance ID from here, whatever I'm going to provide it here. Let me, and the other thing which I need to provide is the tag. So again this thing is coming from here, tags, and from where the tag is coming, tag is coming from here. So let me provide this value. Let me see. Okay, it's not a list, it's this thing. Okay, so let me remove this thing as I don't require here because it's not a list, it's a map value. So let me close this one. Now we have the response, EC2 client, create tag, resources. Here I am providing the instance ID, which is an event coming from here, and the tag which is coming from here. And here in the last I need to provide return. What I need to return? I need to return this response. So whatever the name I'm going to give here, I need to return it. Now my function is created. No other value we need to provide. If we look at this, so this is the only information which we need to provide. Now let me save it, deploy. Now before doing the testing, we also need to do one thing. We need to go to the configuration, and here in the configuration we need to increase the timeout, because right now the time for the Lambda function to execute is only 3 seconds. Let's suppose if my Lambda is going to run for more than 3 seconds, then it is going to give us the error message. So in order to avoid that error message, let me give 3 minutes and 3 seconds. One more thing which we need to do is going to the permission while creating the Lambda role, or while creating the Lambda function, there is a Lambda role which is also created. Now this Lambda role, which was created at the time of the Lambda function, it's with the default permission. So let me click on this and let me go to the IAM. Here if I'm going to see the permission, it's a basic execution permission. But right now the Lambda which I'm using, I need to have the EC2 permission as well, so that it can update the tag, correct? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a permission and I'm going with the admin privileges. But don't do this thing, just go with the EC2 full access or EC2 tag access only. Okay. So right now I'm not creating a inline policy, or right now I'm not creating a custom policy. So just to save time, I'm just adding all the permission to this Lambda role. Now here we have the permission and here we have the timeout, which is for 3 minutes 3 seconds. Now we need to do the testing, but in order to do the testing, we need to provide the instance ID and the tag value, correct? So how to do that thing? So for that we need to configure a new test. Now this new test is in the format of JSON. So we need to provide the value in the form of the JSON only. So let's provide the value in the form of the JSON. Here the key is going to be my instance ID. So whatever the instance ID I have, let me cancel this thing. So this one, whatever I have, okay, whatever I have it here. So the same thing I need to provide it here. Let me correct this thing. This is going to be in the small, okay. Let me copy this thing and the tags, okay. Let me go to the test, my test. Here I need to provide this thing, instance ID, and the value is going to be the instance ID. So let me go here, let me provide the instance ID of this one, okay, or I can provide it for this one as well. So let me go and provide the instance ID of a shop instance, okay. Now this is a list. Again, we can provide multiple values as well. So I'm just going with a single EC2 instance. So let's see. And the next value which we have, that is the tags. Now the tags are going to be key and value. So if I go here, if you see, tags are going to be this value, correct? So we need to provide this thing in the same way. So let me copy this thing. So it is going to be like this. Tag. Let me remove this thing because we don't require, and in the value we are going to have something like this, okay. Now we can provide the value here, so the key and the string. So whatever we need to provide in the string. So let me create a name, and here in the value I am providing dev machine. Let me copy this thing, let me paste it. One more key I need to provide, that is environment, and that is going to be dev. If I need to provide multiple, I can just copy it, create it, okay. And let me remove this thing from here and let me save it. Now if you have any error or something, it will ask you to correct the error first. So it is telling me there is an error in your JSON, so please correct it. So let's see where exactly the error we have so that we can correct it. So here we are giving it in the correct format. So first thing is environment, key, name. So everything seems to be correct. It seems like it is not understanding this. That's okay. Let me replace it with It is going to be a irritating work, but that's okay. Let's do that. The reason why I'm going step by step, so that you guys also understand how exactly this thing work. Otherwise, for me it's very easy to write the code and then show it to you. So that is something I don't want to do, because in that you are not going to understand from where the values are coming, and it is kind of confusing one. Okay, let me save it. So it's saved. So that means it was not able to understand what these things. So that's okay. We can replace it. Now we need to click on the deploy, so that it is going to deploy this function. One more thing which is very important, this Lambda handler is a customized name. Okay, so we can give any name here, it's totally up to us, but whenever we are going to change the name of a function, we also need to make sure that we are going to change it here as well. So how to change that thing, that is something I will show you later, but this is a customized value which we can update. Let me click on test. Now we got the response, and the HTTP status code is 200. Let's go to the instance and check whether we have the tag updated. Yes, we do have the tag updated. So we have the name tag updated and we have the environment. Now this Lambda function I can use to update n number of instances. So it is not something where I need to go manually and update each and every instance tag. It is going to be very easy. I can provide n number of tags, I can provide n number of instance value. Thank you.